So I'm going to go ahead and do today's reading. Obviously, there is a lot going on with the protests, and there is some writing. But I want to go ahead and talk about something. I want to talk about it more on a spiritual level. I'm not going to go on a rant. I want to try not to go on a rant. It's tempting, okay? It's tempting as I see this. One thing about me, I do have, I do feel some personal things because my children are African American. They're grown now. And then I have grandchildren too. And I kind of look at, with them going into this world, like, how is it going to be for them? It definitely needs to change. But one of the things I want to kind of talk about is, will this come to an end? Will this, is this not done in vain, as far as all these poor African Americans that have suffered police brutality and various violence, not even just by police, but others, will it come to an end? And will this, the protesting and the rioting not be in vain? Will there be change? And that's especially what we want to look at. So that's kind of where I'm going to go. Now, in the past position, I do have clinging to the past. So, there's a lot of people out there, and I empathize with the African American community, is that there are people who want to say, I don't want to hear about the past. I don't want to hear about the injustices of the past. I don't want to be reminded of it. I just want to go forward, But one of the things is, at the same token, because we don't learn from the past, that is why, everybody points back, and the past is creeping in the present, also because people are not learning from the past, which is, the thing. And they want to ignore it. My daughter, she's been speaking out on her own Facebook, talking about what is going on, with the protesting and the police brutality and everything. And she's been losing friends because she is. Well, it shows who your friends are, right? Versus, wanting to understand. They just want to make it go away. They don't want to see it. And that's a problem. If people don't stop, they need to pay attention. Now, and I did talk about in my read for George Floyd, many of you did see it. I have the innocence card again. This only affirms exactly what I'm saying. And even last night on Facebook, I did a collective read. This card came up for him again. And it's not just even him. This is the innocence card to show he was an innocent man. He wasn't trying to commit a crime. I do not feel he knew that bill was counterfeit. I think he was just, oh my God, incredibly unlucky that he got that bill. But this shouldn't have happened over something so trivial as that. But he's not the only innocent one. There is other African Americans that have lost their life even just this year. This has been happening. Innocent people, and he was, that was it. Now I want you to kind of notice something. I've got the fighting card. It's, things have been getting very restless. I've got the fighting card. He almost looks a little African American. He is represented with an African American, and it's the fighting card. So yes, people are emotional, but they're in pain, and that's what people need to understand. And I've been trying to express, they're not just trying to be violent. They're not just trying to be jerks, doing all this. They're in pain, and they're all empaths out there. Like we talk about the empaths in the spiritual community. Everyone's an empath right now that's on the street. They want change. They want change. And they've tried peacefully protesting. Kaepernick would peacefully protest, and he was criticized. When everybody says he's insulting veterans, that wasn't what he was trying to do. He was trying to speak out against an injustice. And now that people are seeing it, I want you to note the card I have for that. I have the awareness card. See the awareness card? People are now becoming aware. They have no choice now. The veil is ripped. The veil is ripped. They're becoming more aware. Once that video happened from start to finish of poor George, it was like, you can't ignore this any longer, and this is not some isolated incident. There is other cases, that have been going on in this country, but the awareness, for people who are worried about this, is it going to stop? I got the slowing down card. So eventually it is going to slow down. People can only do this so long. You know, they will eventually come down. You know, they will. So I do have the slowing down card, but this is what I feel, because right above the slowing down card is the participation card. And I want you to note it's a 4. It's a 4. And there were 4 officers. So we've got 1 in jail, but there's still 3 sitting there. Now, I don't feel they're going to get murder. I would be very surprised if those charges. But they need to charge all 4. And I do feel they will, because I noticed the participation card. And I see that they all participated in this tragedy. They all are responsible. You know, if you're just standing there, or you're just kind of squatted over looking at something like this, you know, this murder, you are a participant in a crime. And so, especially for things to really slow down, you know, they've got to take all of them down. I do feel they will, because I do take note that 4 does show. But the good part, I do have the rebirth card. So I know there is a lot of destruction, but there will be a resurrection. I do have the rebirth card, and see, he looks, you know, he's coming out of this and everything, and there is a rebirth. So I do feel we can rise again from this, and we are going to be different. You know, we are going to be different. I have the guilt card. This is my very first card. We know this is the thing. We talk about the participants. They are guilty. They are guilty. We know this. And because we all saw it, we all witnessed it, it's unarguable. And in my read for George, I am kind of feeling it may not even go to trial, because see, what you need to understand is the officers know with this video that if it went to trial, they're definitely going to go down, because the evidence is incredibly damning. So they're probably going to take a plea, is what I've been feeling. We need to be really open to the possibilities from this, though, of what we can do to get to that rebirth. You know, we've got the awareness card showing. Now there is awareness. Now we have the possibilities to get into something better, especially by making it aware. And, you know, there are so many that are coming to surface and using their voice. And that's especially what I want to do myself. We all need to use our voice, no matter what color we are. We all need to get out there, and we all need to speak out. You know, it's just like I said on my profile, if you are silent, you are part of the problem. So we can't be silent about this. Everybody needs to speak up, you know, and we need to have justice. We need to have justice. And I just drew the breakthrough card. So I do feel one of the things is we can have a breakthrough moment with this, you know, that, you know, after everything slows down, you know, and especially all 4 officers are held to the fire for what they did, then we can have our rebirth, and we can have a breakthrough moment, and we can get to a better place. What is my outcome card? It is consciousness, especially to raise the level of consciousness in this country. The collective conscious, you know, needs to change. And sadly, sometimes all this stuff has to come out. The lower astral stuff has to come out to raise consciousness. But we're especially doing that. Before we can raise consciousness, we have to have awareness. We have to have awareness of what is going on. So many people have just ignored things for too long. Or when these things would happen, like I was saying, they would be like, oh, it's an isolated incident. Most cops are good cops, you know, in various things. When people say most cops are good cops, and I'm not saying, you know, and the statement is true, not all are bad cops, okay? But it doesn't look at the reality, but there are cops who are bad cops. Okay, by saying, well, most cops are good cops, doesn't take care of the bad cop problem. That's what people need to understand. They need to be aware. This awareness. Now you're aware, you know, of what people have been saying for decades about, you know, police brutality. That, you know, and it shocks me because, you know, it's like I was talking about, you know, I think of Rodney King way back when we started just getting video cameras, okay? I think about that, and it's like, why is this still going on? Why is this still going on? Where does this come from? Where does this come from? But I do feel, the main thing is it will slow down. We all need that. We need that to happen. We need to get to a place of peace, and we do understand there's fighting going on. People, and that's what I said, if you hold people over the fire for so long, they're going to retaliate. People can only take so much. And that's one of the things we got to understand. Put yourself in his position. If you had a knee on your neck and you're gasping for breath and you're calling for your mother and everybody's standing around and this person has no mercy on you, how would you feel? How would you feel? I know how it makes me feel. I know how it made me feel to see that. I was just heartbroken, but I especially think of my children. I think of my children witnessing that, and how does it make them feel? I'm going to draw some oracle cards for the awakened ones. I want to see what Spirit says with some oracle. And especially that I get the enlightenment, and that's especially what we need. We need people to reach enlightenment, pursue spiritual growth. So those during this time, especially the awakened ones that are witnessing this is the time to really pursue that enlightenment. We're trying to aim for that higher consciousness. We need to become more aware of what is going on. And really, I feel like one day when I did my collective read, for those who weren't in my group and didn't see it, I did a collective read last night about 3 a.m. because I could not sleep. And I was talking to the group, and my final card was in Osho. I did Osho again, and I ended with the dream card. And I was like, that's Spirit's way of saying, I have a dream. That's the way of Spirit mentioning the speech that Martin Luther King wrote, that will happen. So if I can get a message out, because it definitely came strong, that will happen one day. His dream will become a reality. It's like we have people that want that dream. Lots of people, all kinds of people want that dream. But then we have people who, they don't want that. I understand that. But we've got to, awaken. We've got to awaken people. They need to be aware of, is there anything internal in me, is like that? I need to fix that. And the next card, Epiphany, seek clarity. So really, that's especially what I want people to do during this time, because I know I got a lot of spiritualists who are going to look at my YouTube if you're interested in tarot. But especially during this time, seek clarity. Look at the bigger picture. Look at the spiritual issue painting in the background. We're all one. We are all one. We all have the divine within. We are all part of the same thing. And really, I know people say we bleed red, but one thing we also have to understand is when we shed all this flesh and blood, we are all light bodies. We are all light bodies. All of us, every one of us. And it's, when you're awakening and growing spiritually, you can't have this. This doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. But of course, as the awakened, we do need to get our voice out there, and you can't be silent. Nobody should be being silent during this time. Everybody should be speaking up. Even if you lose friends, you may lose friends. I've seen some of my friends speaking up, and all of a sudden, people with that have this in them, in their mind. I will note the mind card is the garbage of their mind will start coming out in comments. And I'm like, wow, you really think that way? That there's racist thoughts that, now they're starting to say things and they're showing themselves. There are a lot of people who are showing themselves, but there's a lot of people that are showing their light. There are a lot of people coming out. They're showing their light. They're speaking up, and we do need things to slow down. Violence is not the answer, but inevitably it's going to calm down. And it's like, what can we do to solve this? And I do feel we will get to the table and get there. But looking at last night, even to end with the card, the dream, I know we can get there. We are going to raise consciousness, whether people want it or not. People that want to just, go backward, it doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. We're going to have our rebirth. We're going to have the rebirth. We're going to resurrect. It is going to get better. We have no choice but to get better at this point. I hope you enjoyed my reading.